Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 110 of our trip around the United States. Today is unfortunately our very last day of Nebraska, and it's a little bit shorter than the other days we've had. We only have 285 miles to cover to make it to Nebraska City. Of that 285 miles, we probably covered a good 60 to 80 of that last night. Hard to say because we got a screw in our tire and we ended up having to call it a night. Fortunately, the professionals over at the Farmers Cooperative Tire Center in Plymouth were able to get us in and out very quickly this morning, and we're still running really right on time or even just ahead of time on our schedule. We're starting our day off here at the Homestead National Historic Park, one of the few national parks that are completely free to visitors. It is a great opportunity to get to see the history of Nebraska and how the Homesteading Act greatly affected the face of our nation. It's also kind of the perfect way to send off our last full day in Nebraska, seeing how the state came to be in the first place. It's going to be a great day of geocaching, I can tell. We started off with a big problem that we were able to get solved in no time at all with the help of some very professional people. And now we get to hang out at a national park where we get to go deep into the history of Nebraska. Come on, let's go check it all out. This morning we had the opportunity to start our day off by visiting the Homestead National Historic Park. The park is separated into two different areas that you can drive between. Each one features their own unique displays and cultural artifacts. The Homestead Act of 1862 has been called one of the most important pieces of legislation in the history of the United States. The act was signed into law by Abraham Lincoln after the southern states seceded from the Union. It was a revolutionary concept for distributing public land in American history. This law turned over vast amounts of the public domain to private citizens. 270 million acres, or 10% of the area of the United States, was claimed and settled under this act. It dramatically accelerated the settlement of the U.S. Western territories by allowing any American, including freed slaves, to put in a claim for up to 160 free acres of federal land. In a July 4, 1861 speech, President Lincoln told the nation the purpose of America's government was to elevate the condition of men, to lift artificial burdens from all shoulders, and to give everyone an unfettered start and a fair chance in the race of life. And many did race across the bridge that was provided to the U.S. government, with fertile lands in sight just over the horizon. It led to a rapid increase in the population of Nebraska after the Civil War, helping it to become the first new state admitted to the Union after the end of the war. Once considered a part of the Great American Desert, the Homesteading Act helped to greatly transform the agricultural productivity of the land in Nebraska. The opportunity for homesteading affected over half of the country. Nearly 4 million homesteaders settled land across 30 states over the course of 123 years. The prime land across the country was homesteaded quickly, and those claims dropped sharply after the 1930s. The act remained in effect until 1976, with provisions for Alaska until 1986. To qualify, a homesteader had to be the head of a household or at least 21 years of age to be able to claim their 160-acre parcel of land. Settlers of all types worked to meet the challenge of proving up. These included immigrants, farmers without land of their own, single women, and formerly enslaved people. What we now know as the West was not always so. Virtually every part of the United States, except the eastern seaboard, has been considered the West at some point in American history. The line that divided the West continued to extend as more and more territories became settled. And the West will forever be linked in popular imagination with the last frontier of American settler, especially in the vast stretches of plains, mountains, and deserts west of the Mississippi. A region of cowboys, Indians, covered wagons, outlaws, prospectors, and a whole society operating just outside the law. There is no better park in the great state of Nebraska to come visit to learn about how this state came to be what it is today. It is a great look back in history and a great educational opportunity to learn more about the development of the U.S. Not quite done with our walk through history, we decided to visit the Table Rock Pioneer Museum after that. This building was constructed in 1915 as one of the first 3 museums opened by the Table Rock Historical Society in 1966. Personally, I found the piece of history right at the front door to be the most interesting. Because on this site in 1897, nothing happened here at all. And now that we've learned a little bit about the land in Nebraska, I think it's time to traverse that landscape and go find some geocaches.
Choices. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. There we are. Every day has a flavor, and today's flavor is fun geocaches. This is like probably the 6th or 7th ammo can I've come across, and most of what I've done today have been regulars.
It did not take too many finds at all before we were right back to where we had started our day, learning about the origins of the history of Nebraska. For this portion of the trip, we'll be visiting the point of beginning of the public land surveys of the 6th principal meridian. What the heck does that mean? On May 30th of 1854, the Kansas-Nebraska Act created the territories of Nebraska and Kansas, which had to be surveyed before the settlement could proceed in November of 1854. Captain Thomas Lee of the U.S. Army Topographic Engineers determined the 40th degree of north latitude along the Missouri River on May 8th of 1855. Ascending to the top of the bluff, you can find a cast iron monument that was erected by Charles Manners to mark the beginning of the baseline forming the state boundary. In layman's terms, this is the spot where the very first benchmark for Kansas and Nebraska is located. All other benchmarks in both states originated from this point right here.
The first benchmark. Why, Groundspeak? Why? Sad. As much as I'd be able to log that as a benchmark, I can't. But we can at least sign the guest register right here and let them know that we've been up here to survey the first survey point. Just for a little perspective, it's only 200 feet to that mark from where we're standing right now. 200 feet straight up there. We can definitely say we've touched Kansas today. Right there, hands on. But we won't be doing any geocaching there. For now, we're gonna cut the corner of Missouri and straight up to Nebraska City from there.
And as soon as we crossed into Missouri, the landscape changed. While we could see the flat Nebraska on one side, we could also see the rolling hills and bluffs of Missouri on the other. It's so weird how things can change so drastically just by crossing one river.
It's actually kind of surprising how often the most spectacular view around is from the local cemetery.
And descending up the hilltop in this cemetery not only netted us a fantastic view of the area below, but it also gave us an opportunity to find a geocache. Only a couple finds from Missouri and then we're off.
She sniffed it out all right. There we have it. Fair winds, Missouri. We will be seeing you soon enough, but this is not that part of the trip yet. For now, we're going to finish up what we have in Nebraska, and then we're moving on to Iowa. I think I've got this one. It's just like an old cartoon. You just got to look inside. It's a whole lot of cannon for a little tiny shell like that. And there it is, the last geocache that we need to find for the page and the county to complete the state. That's it. Nebraska is in the bag. And finished off with an ammo can. That's definitely the flavor of the day I like.
And just as we were thinking we might not get to see any patriotic displays today, we stumbled across Legion Memorial Park. This beautiful park in the heart of downtown Auburn features the Nemaha County Veterans Memorial. As with a lot of these memorials, it was the tank that initially caught my attention. But there was no micro listed on this one, which, let's be honest, I was not too heartbroken about. The black granite stones arranged around the centerpiece feature depictions of the Civil War, World War I,
World War II, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom. On the opposite side of the stones, the names of more than 1,000 veterans are carved into the black rock surface.
All right, travelers, we are calling it a day here. We have just completed the last page and the last county we need to put a check in the box. Nebraska is done. All of the counties and all of the DeLorme pages for the state are complete. And we even got to sneak into the northwest corner of Missouri and have a couple of geocache finds in the pages and the counties there as well. And man, what a change coming into Missouri. As soon as we crossed over the Missouri River, we went from flat lands to big, thick rolling hills immediately. It's a whole different place over there. But we're not going to get to see that for a while yet. We're going to keep tracking south and east from here through Iowa, Illinois, and then dropping down. We're going to come back to Missouri later. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this last day in Nebraska, kind of the end of the beginnings. Today we got to see where Nebraska all started right as we finished our way through the state. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.